Good morning. It's Friday, August the 16th, and we're into day 7 of the Maritimes and Newfoundland trip. We're just leaving Halifax, we've just crossed the McKay Bridge, and we are headed out for Cape Breton. Our travels this morning will take us back up to Truro, where we'll catch the Trans-Canada Highway, and we're going to head across. We'll stop at Stellarton, Nova Scotia, which is another coal mining town, and that's where we're going to have our lunch. Then we will head across to Cape Breton. Our tourist stop of the day will be made at the Alexander Graham Bell National Park. It's a museum, actually. Alexander Graham Bell settled in the Baddeck, Nova Scotia area on Cape Breton Island after visiting there and finding that it reminded him of Scotland, where he was raised. Alexander Graham Bell's family came to Canada when he was in his early teens, and in his late teens. And he specialized first in educating the deaf. And that's what led to the invention of the telephone. And then he moved into all sorts of other interesting areas of invention. So we're just on our way out. This is actually Dartmouth that we're still in here. And then we get on to the Highway 102, which takes us up to Truro. This is a large-ish freshwater lake. Certainly nothing like the Great Lakes in Ontario, but it's a nice-sized body of water and a very pretty spot. This is just on the outskirts of Halifax. We haven't even reached the Halifax airport yet. So here we are, we're coming up to Truro, and we're going to hop on to the Trans-Canada Highway, and I'll let you watch some driving video for a bit. Lunch, of course, is done, and we are now headed for the Canso Causeway. The Canso Causeway is the only way to access the island from land, by car or bus or by train. There are ferries that you could still take, but this is the primary access to the island, and it crosses the Straits of Canso, which is, I think, really considered to be part of the Northumberland Strait, which is the body of water between Prince Edward Island and the mainland. So the water that you might see off to the left is the Canso Strait, opening up into the Northumberland Strait. And if you were to follow the Canso Strait sort of off in the direction that we're going right now, you can see the Canso Strait there, and the causeway sort of straight ahead. And if you were to go through the other side of the causeway along the Straits of Canso, you would end up out into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. and the open Atlantic Ocean eventually. The causeway was built in the 1950s. The first thing to travel across it when it was opened was a train. Actually, the road opened, I believe, about a month later, and the causeway is about 80 feet across at the top, where the road surface and the rail surface is, but at the bottom, about 250 feet down, is I think about 700 feet wide. Well over 1,000,000 ton of rock was dropped in here to make this causeway. At the far end, there is a swing bridge to allow boat traffic through. And this forms quite a nice natural harbor. Particularly here on the right, you quite often see a lot of freighters in here, either loading gravel or maybe oil tankers or any number of ships on the right side. They come in from the Atlantic Ocean that way. So we're coming up to that swing bridge. And here it is. And welcome to Cape Breton Island. And there's the channel for the boats to go through. Not for big ships, but for recreational craft. So up here at the top in the traffic circle, we are going to take Highway 105, which is the Trans-Canada Highway heading towards North Sydney, where the ferry to Newfoundland is. We're going to stop first in Baddeck at Alexander Graham Bell's Museum. Very, very scenic drive along the Breton Lakes. We're going up the west side today, and then when we come back from Newfoundland, we'll come back down on the east side of the Breton Lakes. This trip does not do the Cabot Trail, the very famous scenic drive on Cape Breton, other than just the very, very little bit that we'll be driving on today. The highway through Baddeck forms part of the Cabot Trail, just for a short distance. You can see the Breton Lakes here on our right-hand side, starting to open up. This bus that we're following, Anderson, this is a bus company from Pennsylvania, and they're headed to Alexander Graham Bell's Museum as well. Very, very pretty, pretty, pretty place. So just a very few driving shots here as we go along various spots with the lake on the right hand side here. Now we're getting close to Baddeck now, and we're going to drive right through town to get to the museum. The museum is directly opposite the mountain where Alexander Graham Bell built his estate. And it was on Baddeck Bay, the bay off of the Breton Lakes here, that Alexander Graham Bell took off in his airplane, the Silver Dart, which was very much a contemporary of the Wright brothers. This is the first Baddeck exit, but we're actually going to go up the hill and take the second exit. Baddeck is a very central town in Cape Breton. A lot of motor coach groups actually stay in the hotels here so they can branch off to go to the various places, whether it's Louisburg Fortress or to the Cabot Trail or to Sydney or even the Glenora Distillery. But this is the village of Baddeck, and you will be able to see here why it is that Alexander Graham Bell decided to settle here. It's very, very pretty, and it's a very picturesque little town. Gaelic is still quite popular in this whole area of Cape Breton. It is still spoken, and in fact there is a Gaelic college just north of Baddeck that teaches today the language and the customs of the traditional Scottish background. The Scottish people settled here, and in fact there are times when you're talking to people in parts of Cape Breton where they still talk with a very Scottish type of accent. It's also a very busy tourist town, and the roads are not very wide. As we come down here, you can see it gets even narrower with the parked cars. It's really difficult to maneuver the bus without going in the opposite lane. And then we get down here to the entrance to the museum, and these cars are blocking the entrance because they're afraid of coming by us because it's so tight. But we can't make our turn with them sitting there, so I'm trying to let them get out of the way. And then this person here, I don't know what they're swinging all over the road for, but anyways. They need to find some off-street parking and give us a little bit more room, because buses here come here so many times, particularly in the fall. This is so busy in the fall here. I expect I will probably be back in this area at least once more this year. I don't know if I'll be going to Newfoundland at all on any future trip down here, but I expect that I'll probably get at least one more, maybe a 14-day Maritimes, just doing New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and PEI. There's the museum on the right. The tetrahedron, the triangular shapes that you can see that the museum are made of. This is a shape that Alexander Graham Bell spent a lot of time working with in his work with airplanes and with hydrofoils and all sorts of structural things that he played around with. Here we are in the bus parking area. So I'm going to let the people out. We'll go in. We're going to spend a couple of hours here, and then we're headed off to Sydney. Okay, so just as we pulled out there, straight across, in fact, we're still kind of looking at it here, I guess, is the mountain named Ben Bria, where Alexander Graham Bell built his mansion overlooking Baddeck Bay. They had quite an estate over there. They had sheep and cows and various things in his workshops and laboratory. It was quite a going concern. He passed away in 1922. Okay, we're going to go up over Kelly's Mountain now, so I'll just let you watch some of this driving. We're going to go across onto, there's an island in the middle of the Bredor Lakes. We're going to go across onto that, Poularderie Island, and we're headed for Sydney, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, we're arriving in Sydney, and coming up is the most confusing sign. You probably didn't really see it there. But it had arrows pointing to the left, and yet we needed to go to the right to go into Sydney. And this is downtown Sydney. It's actually about 7 kilometers from that traffic circle that we were just going around right down into the downtown core. And we're coming here for supper, so the group can get supper, and this is where I am staying tonight, because what's happening is, due to the fact that one of the Newfoundland ferries is down, and so the long route, the North Sydney to Argentia route of the Newfoundland ferry is not running, we've had to make some adjustments to the itinerary to suit the hours of service needs. The group is going to go to the ferry tonight with another driver. The driver is coming from Newfoundland. He's going to fly here to Sydney, and he's going to take over the trip for 2 days. Going to take them on to Corner Brook, where they'll spend the night, and then take them from there to St. John's the next day. I'm going to stay here in Sydney, and then tomorrow I will fly to St. John's. So I will have a day off here in Sydney and a day off in St. John's. And then I will meet them in St. John's. We'll do our touring in St. John's and depart back by way of Gander one night, Corner Brook one night, and then back to the ferry. We'll take the ferry back during the day and come back here to Sydney. So I'll be back here again. I'm not going to show too much more of this. I just have to turn around down here. So I'm going down to the ship dock area where the cruise ships come in. So you'll see the cruise terminal here, and the large fiddle, which is very popular in Cape Breton for the Cayleys, the big parties that they have here. Anyways, so this is it. I'm not going to be doing any new videos for the 2 days that I'm off, but I will edit some videos and post them up as soon as I can get some good internet to do so. Thanks for watching, and hope you check back in a few days.